This is Andy Matthews of MeepleMountain.com, and we're here at Gen Con 50, Day 3, at the CMON booth, and this place is amazing. We're here with Jared and Sean, and they're going to tell us about some of the really awesome games they've got coming up. Take it away, guys.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
So we've got tons of stuff. We've got things that are out in retail, things that are just coming out, and then some stuff we've announced for next year. So first up, we have been excited to show people the Godfather, Corleone's Empire, which came out last month. But a lot of people, this is kind of their first experience to it because it was a direct-to-retail game. So, you know, it didn't have the Kickstarter thing in their mind.
Right.
But that's been great. So it's a thug placement game, as we like to call it, where you're controlling a family who's trying to jockey for the position to take over when Don Corleone meets his demise. Spoilers.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Right, spoilers. But and you're doing that by controlling different parts of New York, shaking down businesses, and you know, even if you're not in that space, you may own it because you have enough influence. So when other people go to your part of the city, they're paying you some type of kickback.
As it should be.
Yes, exactly. And you can do different jobs, and some of them, like maybe a car bomb, where you wipe out tons of people on the map. And what I really love about that is when you take out a thug or a family member, you actually have to lay them face down in the Hudson.
Yeah.
So it's
not a pretty sight.
Yeah. No, well, it's kind of a beautiful sight.
It is,
especially when the Hudson's just full of the minis. And that was designed by Eric Lang, and it's tons of fun.
It is.
Next, we also we're showing a couple things that are new and just coming out. One of them is Massive Darkness. That was a Kickstarter we did that's now shipping to people, and it will be available next month. And that is a dungeon crawling game where people can actually kind of mix and match characters with classes. Each one has a suggested class, but you can make the barbarian a crazy wizard or things like that. And it also has a unique shadow mode, hence the darkness.
Yep.
The massive comes in with the tons of monsters and everything and minis, but the darkness part where they can hide in the shadows to gain additional powers. Or sometimes you simply hide because the monsters, you can't fight them because it's a pretty difficult game. So you can even hide in the shadows just so the monsters will kind of walk by you and you kind of just tiptoe out and continue on your adventure.
You have to be a massive chicken
Right.
when appropriate.
Did not expect monster.
Yes.
When you see the giant spider down the hallway and you're like, I don't think we'll deal
Why
with
did it
this.
have to be spiders?
Exactly.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So
Well, I've seen that game all over. Bags of Massive Darkness.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that, and we think it gives a unique twist to the kind of dungeon crawling board game.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
And next up we have Rising Sun, and that's kind of really special to us, and I kind of let Sean talk a little bit on that.
Yeah, so I mean, Rising Sun, one of the next big games from Eric M. Lang. We did the Kickstarter this year, and so this is a great event for us because we're able to do kind of a preview of the game. And our special charity event has been really special for us. People bought $50 tickets, and CMON matched that price, and they were able to play a full demo of the game, and then all of the money would go to Child Advocates, which is an Indianapolis-based charity, which is actually the charity of Gen Con this year, which is very cool. And then we did a raffle drawing, so all of the players got entered into a draw, and we gave away 6 copies for each of the different sessions that we did. So that's been really fun because these people are getting their hands on the game even before Eric gets his hand on the games, which is awesome.
I'm sure he's not happy.
Oh,
it's all for the kids.
Well,
it's all for the kids.
It was great because with fans, we raised $11,200 for the charity. So believe me, we're all ecstatic, even if we can't go home with our own copies.
And people have been like super pumped to just be a part of it. Like obviously, they all want to walk away with a copy of the game, but they're happy just to know that their money has gone to a good cause and they get to play the game, which is cool.
So, with that said, we then go down to some games that are a little bit further in the future. So, Rising Sun itself is going to be early 2018, but some other games we are showing a new one called Way of the Panda here.
Yeah,
and
a lot about that one.
Yeah, so that is a neat worker placement game it has some layers to it. But the idea is that human ninjas have attacked the panda kingdom, and the Emperor needs help from these different panda clans. So you're using your pandas and your, which every clan has 3 awesome looking panda miniatures, and then a series of like kind of tiny little panda miniatures that are like, that you use to fight ninjas, and you use those to actually buy your moves for the turn. And there's a unique give and take with the move, like where you're buying your actions with your pandas, because you have to use pandas to defeat human ninjas, but you also have to use them to make your choices on the board. And when you choose one action, all actions before it are now unable to be chosen for you that turn. So there's a lot of give and take and a lot of strategy, and it's just a fun kind of twist on that kind of worker placement game.
And it's got a super sweet table presence as well, because like each of the different clans, so they've got a monk, a governor, and a warrior, and each of them have unique sculpts for the panda clans, and then the little worker pandas
are the cutest.
Yeah, they're very sweet.
So and then I can. So next we have Richard the Lionheart.
Richard the Lionheart. So this is a pretty neat game. It is. Players are going to take control of one of 2 different teams. We've got Richard, who's off fighting the Crusades, and Prince John and the Sheriff of Nottingham have taken over the throne. So you can either control their forces and be on that team, or you can control Robin Hood and his merry men, who are fighting to restore the throne to Richard. And what's going on is there's 2 different boards. There's the map of England, where players are going to move around and take actions in different locations. But then there's also these different tracks where there's the army track, there is Richard's return from the Crusades, and then also like the treasury. So there's this push and pull element where both teams are trying to force the end of the game in a different sort of way. And you're going to be putting in cards each round that are going to affect the outcome of those different tracks. And so it is kind of a team game, but ultimately you want your team to win, and then you want to win from your team. So ultimately you're going to backstab your teammates, and it's just all about kind of timing and how far you can trust people. And so each round you contribute certain cards to the Crusade, and then they get revealed one at a time. And so
it's all secret. That's kind of the key when you're putting in those cards.
So you don't know sort of who put in what, but as they get revealed, like those different tracks will be affected. So very neat
sounds
game.
fantastic.
It is a ton of fun. And again, it's like Way of the Panda. It just puts a twist on that kind of putting the dudes on the map game. You know. So,
absolutely.
And speaking of that, so those were kind of got that Euro feel to it, and we're also showing Council of 4.
That is a very cool one. So this is one that has been out before, but it's like we've done our CMON version of it, and very, very neat game. Players are going to try and build up shops in different sections of this kingdom, and they're going to need to have the political will to do so, and so they've got to influence this council. And so the better they've got their people on the council, the easier and cheaper it's going to be for them to do it. So it's all about controlling the politics of these like different kingdoms and being able to put your people in control. So very, very good game. This is one that's like it is a strategic game, but it's also very accessible.
And it's cool. Like the people who knew Council of 4 before are still going to love it. We haven't changed the game really, but we've just updated the components and like kind of just made it. We just gave it that CMON touch because we wanted to treat it with the respect it deserves and get it out there for the fans who have been kind of looking for it again.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So we also announced a few games that we're pretty excited about. Well, so first off, we actually, after A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniature game Kickstarter ended, we announced Hate, which is our next Kickstarter. That is based off the Adrian Smith graphic novel Chronicles of Hate. And it's a pretty brutal world where these tribes or clans are kind of clashing. And the game represents that in the fact that it's up to 6 players have their groups that they're controlling in basically brutal battle, trying to make sure they're the ones who are surviving in this landscape. And it's interesting because there's like damage that carries over. So if our clans clash, like one of our guys may get maimed, and he's going to remain maimed. And you're kind of having this careful balance of making sure you're able to help your guys thrive while kind of wiping out all the other people. So it's a brutal world. And what I love about it, in particular about the miniatures, is that the feeling I had when I saw the Rising Sun miniatures, which I just thought were like some of the most amazing we've made.
They're fantastic.
I had the same feeling when I saw the Hate ones, which I was like, I didn't think I could hit that feeling in, but they just are even more, like, it's insane. So we're excited for that. It's going to be, we haven't announced a date yet, but it is our next Kickstarter.
2018?
We haven't announced, yeah, I mean, it's coming up.
Not trying to pin you down.
No.
Yeah.
So we don't want to say right now because we want to give the room we need to make it the game it needs to be before we get it out there.
I like that. I respect that. I really
So
do.
we'll be the next one. But we also announced a couple of non-Kickstarter games. One is Kick-Ass, based on the Mark Millar comic book of the same name, and that one is really cool because it puts you in the role of the vigilantes of that world. And what's interesting is in that world of the comic series, you've got these normal people who have become superheroes. And they're trying to balance their personal lives and their vigilante lives. And that is actually kind of what the game is about. It's fully cooperative. But what's interesting is, like, say somewhere being robbed, like a bank's being robbed. I may be like, okay, I need you to go save that bank, while I go out with my girlfriend because she's going to break up with me because I've been out getting beat up too much, right? Or I need to go to this mall appearance so I get my social media follows up so I stay a relevant hero. So someone's going to have to go take these bad guys on. And all the while you have this mysterious villain who's kind of omnipresent over the whole experience.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited for us to show more. Just kind of had the box and the miniatures, but that will be straight to retail in 2018.
Fantastic.
Next, we have a new Arcadia Quest expansion that I can let Sean talk a little bit about.
Yeah, so it's Arcadia Quest Riders. This is an expansion that can be, it's like plug and play. It can go into any of the different Arcadia Quest base sets. And it's going, again, direct to retail, which is like exciting in that sense. So this introduces the mounts, which are kind of like almost new members of your guild, and you can put the riders like right on the mounts.
Awesome. Yes.
It is great. Like I'm very excited just because the mounts themselves look so cool, and they're going to add some like really interesting features and special powers to your guild itself. And one of the great things about it is that even though it's plug and play, there's going to be a full campaign with the game as well.
We'll have a
so
new
that's
campaign.
really cool. That's really exciting too.
And what's cool is, like, even so, it's like kind of how pets did, where just they plug it. You can even you can still play with the pets. You can play with mounts. So just your guild is growing with all these cool, cute creatures where you're fighting everyone with.
I'd love to see some of these people's shelves, because I know that a lot of people really get into painting the miniatures and everything.
Yeah.
I can just imagine, shelves and shelves of these just amazingly painted designs that you guys have come up with.
It's amazing what we see people come up with. So, and then the one last thing that I'm sure everyone heard about, and I mentioned it earlier, is A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game. That Kickstarter just ended, but on the show floor, we've actually given people the chance to play with what the final plastics will be like from the Stark versus Lannister starter set, and they get a taste of the game mode, because there's 5 different game modes named after the novels in the series. So you have like a Game of Thrones as one, and that really dictates how you play the game. And so we're letting people get a taste of that beyond just like rolling dice and fighting guys. It's like, okay, sometimes you're under siege and you have to survive this onslaught from your other guys. And so we're giving people a chance to actually experience that hands-on with what, right now what the minis are looking like. There might be some refining, in the plastics, but, this is the type of plastic. So that's really cool that people can get their hands on them. And we've even shown in the cabinet with our other preview games some miniatures that were not part of the Kickstarter, because the whole thing with this is it's a tabletop miniatures game. We're going to do monthly releases once it releases in April 2018, all straight to retail. It's, the Kickstarter was just to get that first starter out the door, but every month there's going to be new ones, and we don't tell you what they are, but we have them in the case so people can take a look and maybe recognize if they're familiar with the novels. They might be able to piece some things together about what's to come.
Yeah, I love the fact that you guys are really faithful to your source material too.
Oh yes, I mean so for that game we've worked so closely with Dark Sword Miniatures, which they helped George R.R. Martin with the license for the novels, and they've been great. So everything George sees and approves, and like he'll be like, oh, that armor wouldn't look like that because of this climate and this territory, and so we get it, we change it up, and so they are fully in it. And George and Dark Sword have been this huge support, making sure it's going to be true exactly what the fans expect to see from those novels.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, fantastic. I mean, this all sounds amazing. So thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best. looks like I don't need to wish because it's already happening.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
This is Andy Matthews with MeepleMountain.com. We are here at the CMON booth at Gen Con 50. For more information about the games that we talked about, check the description below.